welcome or welcome back to my channel. Well, I don't know if you've seen this outfit before or if this is the first time you're seeing it, but because this is the second video I'm filming today, and I don't know which one I'm going to post first, but if this is the first one that I'm posting, and when I post the second one, please pretend you never saw this. Okay, it's just an illusion. But while I decide which one's gonna go first, let's get into business, shall we? Today, I'm going to do something that I'm going to be reacting to creators that I like. And I don't know like how often or if I'm going to do this like all the time, but I'll start off with Honey Bison because I don't know, like I don't really know how I randomly came across her content. I just know that one day she appeared to me and I said, okay, let's see what this girl has to offer. And she had to offer a slap on the face. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay, so we are, we are not afraid to be real here. She's not afraid to be real. And I agree with a lot of her things, the things she says, but that doesn't mean that I agree with everything she says. Or sometimes I want to comment on her videos, and because I have no one to talk about except you about this. I'm joking. I'm on her Discord as well, but we're gonna start off reacting to Melina's latest video. She posted it today. As I'm a member, I get priority, but of course, when you guys see this video, it will be. Please don't make this one a members only, because then you will. Melina, listen to girl here, okay? So let's go. Let's check it out. I don't know if I've said this, but if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Okay. So let's go and let's see what Melina has to say. Our video is "This is about fairness, not feelings," which is very Melina. Honey Bison is her channel. And then again, I'll say the same thing I did about Angelica in my last video. Like, if you know me and you don't know her, like, it makes no sense. But in case you are a rare species, I will, of course, link her video and her channel down below. So let's see.
And they said, like, you need to be able to sit in your seat, put the armrest down, and not spill over into the next seat. I could put the armrest down. I do encroach on the other person now.
Okay, then you need to buy 2 seats.
I do. But
I love her. Like, she does not even skip a bit. She does not even skip a bit. She goes like, you need to buy 2 seats, period. That's what you need to do. Like, I don't care. Like, oh, like, that's why I like her, but that's also why I'm afraid of her.
No, there's no but.
Airlines charged me an additional $355 because their employee decided that I was too fat to fly.
On January 27th, 2026, the formerly fat-friendly airline Southwest has implemented a new change when it comes to...
Is it the first time she's wearing glasses in her videos? All right.
Their customer of size policy. The customer of size did not purchase an additional seat.
Like, she started the video so like in 2020, like, so like, welcome to today's show, and we're gonna talk about how their airline changed their policy. If you want to know more, stick around. We promise you, you will not regret it.
advance and their employees determine that a second seat is needed, that person will be required to purchase an additional seat and pay any applicable seat fee at the airport. If the flight is sold out,
I'm just like, um, I love like encroach. I think that's how I say this word. Uh, like I love how they put it, like this, like
encroach,
encroach. It makes sense. You have two vowels together. Encroach. I love it. Like if you happen to touch the person sitting next to you.
or adjacent seats are not available on your flight, we will rebook you on an alternative flight to your destination on which adjacent seats are available. And to avoid the need for purchasing a seat at the last minute or rebooking, we encourage you to purchase your second seat when you make your initial reservation. Previously, the extra seat was free, but now with the policy change, refunds are only issued if the flight is not completely full. A lot of people are not happy with this change, and we are
I think that's fair. To be honest, I've seen some people react to these, calling the Southwest Airlines like fat phobic and blah 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 blah. No, they're just a business, and business people, like companies, they care about profit. Like, welcome to capitalism, baby. And if they, let me tell you something. If this policy was in any way, shape, or form profitable, I can guarantee you that they would not have like changed it. But if they have done so, it's because it was they were like losing money. That's the only reason why. It has nothing to do with fat phobia or whatever. What we have to understand is that companies, they don't have they when we see like companies like, oh, Pride Month, blah 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 blah, they're pandering to what's like profitable and popular at that moment. And if for some reason society, the way like something changes, so will they. They will change it too. So I think that when like fat like Hayes movement was at its peak, they made this policy to like make headlines and be popular, become viral. But then they saw that, well, they were losing monies. And now, with people wanting to look leaner and with like GLP-1 medications in the market and that becoming more and more like accessible for people, like the fact that they are removing this policy won't generate a backlash as it would if these had been done like 2 years or so ago. These are my initial thoughts. I'd say what Melina has to say.
We're going to listen to some stories from people who have previously enjoyed this perk from Southwest and see what they have to say about it. I find the rule to be completely fair. You guys probably already know my stance on this. I have made a couple of videos where this was touched in briefly. If you cannot fit into one seat, you have to purchase a second seat. And I think Southwest's original policy was fine, which was refunding the customer. I think that is okay. That is a business choice that they get to make.
Yes, it was fine for the customer, but I don't think it was fine for the company. And I am tall. I am 5'9". So like that's why I always will pick the aisle seat, because at least I can like put my legs to the side, because it's very uncomfortable for me to travel by plane, to travel in general. I cannot sleep because I can never find a position. Like I can take meds, I cannot sleep. So it's something like, okay, you're benefiting people that are fat, but what about me? Like I'm tall. I could use some extra space too. Would I have been included in this policy? I don't think so. So I don't really think it's fair. Again, it was just pandering to a movement so that it became like viral or whatever. But let Melina speak.
However, what was
All my
happening
lunch is
was
here.
all of
Isn't it ironic that reacting to Melina's video, I have ordered food and I'm gonna be eating and chewing, but I hope, well, he won't be copying the mic, right? Right, Mike. Be nice. I'm sorry, Melina, but if it makes you happy, I'm having like a Coke Zero. And, well, breaking my house apparently, but okay, in my defense, okay, I was like I was like 10 days like out. So I got home yesterday and I did not have time to go grocery shopping. So that is why I needed to order my food. Forgive me, please. Let's carry on. Okay.
people who need a second seat were flocking over to Southwest, and Southwest was losing money. So I don't blame them for changing this. Businesses are businesses for a reason. They want to make their money. It is what it is. So let's go ahead and watch the first one. This is from the creator Ryan Velasquez 13 on TikTok. And his caption says, "This is not about being overweight. This is not about being unhealthy. This is about mental health. I've flown over 300,000 miles across the country, over 50 flights on Southwest alone." What is he doing that he needs to fly so often? That's crazy. I've never been humiliated the way I was in that Las Vegas airport. Their employee told me it was his job to judge passengers. You never know what someone is going through. You never know how close to the edge someone is already. Be kind, it costs nothing. All right, let's hear what he has to say.
Airline.
Okay. I was making sure like I was right here. I have a question. Like honest question. Is this a Southwest Airlines policy only? Or is this something that all airlines do in the United States? Because to go from one side of the spectrum to another, I mean, it is kind of humiliating, you know, like if Delta, American, like all the United, like if they're not doing this and you're putting your passengers through this, if you're the only one who does it, then yeah, I think it's you're exposing them to, in a way, like a public humiliation. Because people are seeing this. Like in theme parks, you at least you are usually going to have the seats of the attraction outside, so you can go and test it beforehand. No one's there like looking at you. So I mean, if a person I mean it's a tough one. I think this is a tough one.
Charged me an additional $355 because their employee decided that I was too fat to fly.
Okay, sir, I can look at you right now in your vehicle and tell you do not fit in the seat. This is starting off strong.
Let me tell you what happened. Tuesday, I was flying out of Dallas Love Field to Las Vegas for a conference. I got to the gate. The agent pulled me aside and then continued letting everybody board around me. She then looks at me and asks if I can fit in the seat with the arms down.
Why is he so perplexed?
Told her, yes, I fly all the time. I don't spill over the armrest. I don't.
Okay, I'm sorry to pause this so quickly, but I cannot take him seriously. You can see the seat ends right about here. His body is not ending right there. He is spilling over his car seat. I don't for 1 second believe that he can fit into a standard airplane seat and not spill over.
Take up this.
I'm with Melina on this one. You can 100% see this is probably where the car seat ends, and his arms are like spilling, and maybe as it will go down, but like these parts here will be spilling out. And usually I don't I may be wrong, but I think that airplane seats are smaller than car seats. I wish they were as big, but they're not. So yeah, I agree with Melina. I sorry, sir. I mean, maybe you don't think you're like bothering other people, but you are.
Seat next to me. I've never had an issue. She wasn't satisfied.
Maybe you'd never had an issue, but the person sitting next to you did.
She called over a supervisor. So now I'm standing at gate 7 with 2 people visually judging me,
I guess that is
deciding
very
if I
emotional.
get to board this plane today.
What do you expect? They see a very large man who very clearly and obviously cannot fit into an airplane seat. This is not being mean. This is not being judgy, as in judging you for your actions that brought you to this place. They are doing their job to see if you can fit into one seat. You cannot. We can look at you and see you cannot. Would this diatribe be the same if you were at an amusement park and the workers looked at you and said, well, I really don't think you can fit in that? Or even if someone was really tall.
Well, okay, let her finish.
I knew someone who is, I guess, I don't think he's shrunk, 6'7", and at roller coaster or at amusement parks, certain roller coasters where your feet dangle, the worker said, hey, I think you'll be too tall for this ride. Let me measure you to see if you are. Would you prefer them to do that? Hey, just doing a visual inspection, I can see that you will most likely spill over into the other seat.
Yeah, but like I said previously, theme parks you can check previously whether or not you will fit in said ride. And I don't think the comparison with tall people is really fair because there really isn't like a stigma, social stigma with being tall. People won't be like, oh my God, did you see how tall she is? As opposed to, oh my God, did you see how fat he is? And I'm not defending fat. I'm not saying like, oh, yay, like fat positivity. And that's not what I'm saying. I just think they don't have the same weight because the way society looks at tall people is way different than. That's why I think that movie from Netflix, like Tall Girl, is so ridiculous because like I have never been like, oh my God, like you're tall, like I'm tall. Like, no, quite on the contrary. Like the majority of the time people are like, oh, I wish I was as tall. Like, oh my gosh, you're so tall. I envy you. So, and I don't know, like I've never heard of a person that be like, oh my God, you're so fat. I envy you. So I don't think it's it's equivalent. Um, Maybe they should have a better way to do that that wouldn't involve putting a passenger through it so publicly. But I do need that. I do think that these sort of this should happen because I don't think it's fair with other passengers that they should they we all pay like a price for our seats. So it's not fair with other passengers that an overweight person goes sit down and you like the seat that it's already small gets even smaller and the person is touching you and that's very uncomfortable. I just I'm just not sure if I agree to the way it's being conducted, but we'll see.
Would you like me to measure you? Is that the better response?
Or that day. They let me board. I was upset, but I let it go, and I told myself it was a fluke. It was just like a one-time thing. No big deal. Then I'm flying home from Vegas after my conference. I walk up to the counter to check my bag, and the agent steps aside from his counter, looks me up and down, and says, "You can't fly. You need to buy a second seat." I told him, "Don't look at me like that."
There is an appropriate and tactful way to go about this. I don't know if I believe him when he says he got out from the side of his chair or from the side of the desk and looked me up and down. I'm sure he saw your chest up, whatever he can see, noticed the girthiness, stepped aside to confirm if his suspicions were right. If you were a big man, he looked at you and came to the conclusion, oh, yes, this man will need to buy 2 seats. I can look at him and see that he will encroach onto the seat beside him.
He said, "It's my job."
Okay. Here but then you have the company kind of having double standards. Unless, I mean, the aircraft was really different and the seats were smaller. I think they should have like a like like I don't know, like fat passenger or something like in the system. And if he was in Vegas for a conference, it would be like very unlikely for him to gain that much more weight. If he was able to flying to Vegas and he spent the conference, he'd be able to fly out because then you're not applying the same standard you did the first time. If he was able to fit the first time, what is different now? And that's what I want to know, because maybe it was the aircraft that was different. But if he could go the first time, he should be able to come back, given that it was like maybe like 2-3 days between each like trip. They should have a system for that, you know. I don't know. I just but it's complicated. Like it's a very like difficult situation.
To judge passengers.
I mean,
I don't think I don't think they're judging you. I understand you're feeling judged. And you're going after the wrong person here, okay? Like they're just like at the end of the day, they are at the bottom of the food chain. They're just like following orders. They are not judging you. They're just doing what they are told. Like I said, company is applying 2 different like standards to like to different rules to the like. It's kind of messy, but I don't think there's a moral judgment. I don't think they're like, oh my God, look at him, he's a terrible person. You know, it's their job.
is he wrong? It's his job to judge whether or not someone can fit into 1 seat. He's technically judging
I'd
all
say
passengers,
check,
not just you.
not judge.
They can look at, average sized woman or man, judge them and then come to the conclusion that, oh yes, they can fit into one seat.
His job to judge me? He said it was for my comfort. As you can imagine, it escalated quickly. I sent him to get management. They come out and de-escalate, and they said that it was for my comfort and safety.
It is. It is for your comfort and safety, not only yours, but most importantly, the people around you. Because if you are sitting in one seat, you purchase one seat, the flight is full, someone comes and sits next to you, and they are now being squished against the other side because your appendages, your excess adipose tissue, is spilling into their seat.
I love how she said like her excess adipose tissue, like for your fatness, okay?
That is not okay. That is not right. That is not fair. And that is not comfortable for the other person. To be quite frank, it's gross. It's unpleasant. And yes, I would say the same thing about a bodybuilder or just big men in general that are not necessarily fat. I don't want your body parts touching me. I paid for my seat. I have the right to the space in between those two armrests. If any part of your body is touching the other side, you need to pay for two seats. I don't understand why this is such a big deal to these people. It's like you have made choices and decisions up until this point, up until this flight, which by the way, he said he's flown over 50 flights on Southwest alone. That's a lot of money Southwest is losing. But you know if you fit into that seat or not. You know you do not. The decisions and the actions and the choices that you have made up until this point have led you to being in the situation that you are in now. There are plenty and plenty and plenty of people in comment sections of videos like this saying, hey, you know, when I had to ask for a seat extender or when I almost had to ask for a seat extender, that was a wake-up call for me to, you know, kick my butt into gear and then to lose the weight. Why don't you have that mentality? Instead, you have a victim mentality. Oh, the airline worker judged me and determined that I can't fit into one seat. You can't. Instead of being upset at someone doing their job, which again, there is a tactful way to do it. I don't know what kind of training they have. I don't know. I will concede to that point. There is a tactful way. You can't just be like, huh, fatty, you need to buy two seats. Neener. That's not what I'm saying they should do. However, instead of projecting outwards, like that embarrassed and shameful feeling that you have is valid, but instead of projecting it towards Southwest, which is just a fucking company, how about you take it inward and understand that you have work that you need to do? If you cannot comfortably sit inside of an airplane seat because you have eaten yourself to that point, you have work to do. You cannot expect everyone else to be comfortable with you touching them. Absolutely not. No.
And before I
And that's why, my friends, I subscribe to Melina, to Honey Bison, because again, I think if she had said that to me, like to my face, you know, like I'd cry and I would victimize myself so much, like, how dare you talk to me like that? You know, like, because I am a drama queen. But she's right. And for me, the moment was when I went to like a department store here in Brazil, and I couldn't find any pants that would fit me. And they said, "Oh, upstairs we have not exactly the same store, but they have kind of like it's like the same parent company, but it's a different name, a different store. That we have like plus size clothes." And I was like, oh, and I'm 5'9". Do you realize how much it takes for you to make a 5'9" body obese? Because that's what I was. Because babes, I said it in my other video there, because I filmed a video before this one. I don't know which one's gonna go first, but I have a lot of space. So it takes a lot of food. And that's it. You can take it out on the company as much as you want, as much as you'd like, but they're not going to change their policy for you. And they shouldn't either, because it's not fair to other passengers, like Middleton has said, like it's just like, I don't want to like have people be like touching me, and no, it's just like, it's the same thing like if a man just like sits down and just spread out his legs, and I have to suddenly be like all like crouch and like, because like, no, that's not right. Sorry, man. I mean, it sucks if it happened the way you're telling, like if they allowed you to board the first time to, oh my gosh, there's a alarm, like, I don't think you can hear it. But if they allowed you to board the first time, then you should be able to do so 2 days later, because I don't think that you're like, unless again, it's one of those aircrafts that are very, very, very low cost, and the seats are super small. If that's not the case, then I think you're fair in your assessment to be like, wait, I could board 2 days ago. Why can't I do it now? But if, again, if you can't fit, sorry, my man, it's not fair to the other guy.
I was going to get banned
Oh,
for
girl.
life from the airline. I stopped and I paid the $355 for the second seat. And the crazy thing was, nobody was even sitting there. From the moment that I
Okay, well, if the flight is not full, you can still get a refund. That is still a part of their policy, which, by the way, they don't even have to do that. No other airline does that. If you take 2 seats, you pay for the 2 seats. They don't have to do that at all.
had to buy that seat, it was empty, but I had to pay for it. So the ticket went from manageable to over $800 for one way at this point. I have taken over 50 flights on Southwest. I have flown over 355,000 miles across this country.
And can we please make a note of how privileged you have to be to fly so often? I mean, yeah, maybe it's for his job and his job pays for it, but
I believe it's for his job, especially because he said he was like on a conference. So I think it's most likely for his job.
the vast majority of people in the world will never even get onto a plane. So the fact that you are privileged
True.
enough, one, to eat yourself to the point where you need a second seat, and two, where you can purchase plane tickets and fly, I think that's something you need to sit back on and be grateful about for just half a second.
And I've never been made to feel the way I felt in Las Vegas. I'm embarrassed. I was mortified. I'm ashamed. My mental health already is the lowest it could possibly be.
Yeah, obesity and depression have a bidirectional relationship, meaning one causes the other. And instead of sitting and wallowing and making it worse, you can make changes to make your mental health better. I know I've been there. I've suffered with a myriad of mental health issues since childhood. And my depression led me to gaining over 50 pounds in 1 year. I get it. I understand. But there comes a point where you need to stiffen your upper lip and you need to seek out help and you need to do the work. Otherwise, you just end up like this.
I don't think it could go any lower. So
And just going back to what you said previously, if you're taking it out, like like in the wrong like person, because that should lead to, like you say, my mental health sucks. I am very frustrated. I mean, if you're already down, is like I think I have a similar expression in English, like shooting a dead horse, something like this. We say like kicking a dead dog. So maybe it's time for you to, yes, you're entitled to feel like sad and ashamed, and I'd be mortified if I were in your position. But take that as a moment to reflect and to think, what are the choices that I can make so that never happens again, And I think the problem with food addiction is that the hardest thing to do is to convince a person, an addict, that they have an addiction. They will always say like, if I want to, I'll stop tomorrow. A classic, right? So, and like, I think the concept of food addiction it's something like that, for me at least, is fairly recent, new, because it was not something I had heard of before. So until a person can say, I depend on food to cope with my emotions or my impulsivity or whatever that is, it's so hard. And then to jump from being to like accepting and owning your addiction to go and say, oh, so I'm going to seek treatment, I'm going to change and become better. It's not an easy thing, but nowadays there are so many resources online, and yet we hear a lot of BS online too, but and like communities they're like, it's so much easier to get access to these nowadays than it was maybe like 10 years ago, that I don't even know that existed. I don't know if it does in the United States. I know it does in the UK, like over like, like have like Alcoholic Anonymous, or you have like something like for this for overeaters, So you got support groups, you got things you can do. So
I thought, right? And having somebody judge me just after I go to a conference to spend an additional $355 because it was their decision that I was too fat is
it was not their decision. Okay? Like, fatness is an objective thing. Like, and I don't like the way you say they were judging me. They were judging me. They were not. There was no, like, I know why you're saying judge. And maybe if I were in your place, I'd feel the same way. But they were not judging you. It's like this. Okay, that's a green pen. Like, I look at it and I know it's green. Like, it's not a point of contention. It's not like, oh, you know what? Maybe this is, yeah. No. That's green, period. That's the same thing with fatness. I look at my pictures, like, look at my face in this picture here. I don't need like any subjective element to say that I was fat. So they were not judging you. They were assessing a fact. You are fat. You are overweight. Now, another thing is, can you fit in your seat and not crouch, spill into other passenger seat? That's another question. And it's something that I, again, go back to my initial argument. If you were able to board going to Vegas, you should be able to board on your flight back, unless the aircraft were vastly different and the sizes of seats were very, very different. And I think there should be a system in place for the company to check that. Like, when was the last time this passenger flew with us? Did he have to pay for an additional seat and all that type of stuff? But it's hard.
Mind-blowing to me.
I don't think it's mind blowing. I think it's just policy.
You never know what somebody is going through. You never know how close they are to the.
That's not the company's job, dude. It's not their job. It's the same thing. Like if you get a negative feedback from your boss, you're not gonna go like, "Oh, you don't know what I'm going through." Like I'm going like, you're asked to do a job. Maybe if you're going through something personal, you can talk to your boss, and maybe like the boss can be understanding and this that. Sure, yeah, why not? But at the end of the day, it's not like the company's job to be like to be like pandering to your feelings, and that sucks to hear. But you're talking about a company, and it's their policy. It's their policy, period. Sorry I had to go through this, but it is what it is.
Edge.
Well, you're definitely close to the edge of someone else's seat, so.
The emotional damage.
Oh my God,
from
Elena, you're
something-
so evil. Here I am making like thousands of arguments, and she just like comes and braba psh. Oh my God, that was so funny.
like this is real. It doesn't go away when you land.
Okay, so what are you going to do about it? Besides post a TikTok and then turn the comments off because people were calling him out. What are you going to do about it? You can change this. This isn't like a tall person who can't change the length of their legs having to buy a second seat. No. You have to buy a second seat because of the actions and the choices that you have made. You have complete control over your body size. I know people don't like to hear that. But unless you are like actually disabled or you have an actual illness that prevents you from, losing weight or gaining muscle or whatever it is, you have control. And that's the beautiful part of it. You get to control what you look like.
Stays with you. It follows you. It sits on your chest as you're trying to go to bed at night. And for some people, that kind of moment is the one that pushes them over.
That kind of moment for a lot of people, it pushes them over into the world of fixing themselves, bettering their life, taking control of their health so they don't have to buy a second seat. So yeah, I do agree with that.
We have to do better. We have to talk about this because mental health and words and actions like this, they break people.
You want to talk about mental health? Why don't you think about the way you are coping with your feelings? Because you're not in a good place, man. You're not. You're really not.
Look, I understand policies exist. I get that people don't want to be uncomfortable, but there has to be a better way to handle it because having employees visually judge passengers and then audibly saying things where other passengers can hear, it's not okay.
I don't understand what the workers said exactly that other people can hear besides, hey, you're too big, you need to buy a second seat. That is just the objective truth. And if you don't want the workers visually inspecting, what do you want them to do? A tape measure? Do you want them to touch you? No, obviously not. That's weird. Perhaps we can have an airplane seat, kind of like an amusement park, and you can sit in that. And then you can prove to everyone that you can fit in one seat. Is that the solution that you want? Or do you want everyone to bend the knee to you and your wants and your desires, and you want to only purchase one seat and then encroach on someone else's personal space? Is that what you want? Because that's not going to happen. It's just simply not going to happen. Okay, this one is from Grace.
A question here. In other companies, like what happens if a person it's too big to fly?
Platt Simpson. This was posted 3 days ago. I have not seen this one yet.
The most awkward conversation of my entire life. and it took everything in me to not cry. I do want to start off by saying that the guy who talked to me was super sweet and super kind.
Her video is pretty low, so I turned it up on both ends, so hopefully that is loud enough.
And he said it multiple times, like he hated that he was having this conversation with me. I got pulled aside. I'm flying right now for work for San Diego, and I'm sitting at a chair, like, waiting at the gate. And mind you, this is my connecting flight, so I've already flown once through Southwest to get here. And he pulls me aside and he goes, "It's been flagged for me that you might be a customer of size."
I don't know if it's because she's whispering, but she sounds out of breath.
And he's like, "Let me tell you what the policy is." I'm like, "Okay." And I knew that they changed their, policy of you can't sit wherever you want. He goes, "So technically, you're supposed to buy 2 seats." And I go, "Well, I'm not doing that. I'm not spending $500 more. I got here, I was sitting next to someone. I've never, ever been told, ever, on any airline. 1, I've never had a conversation about my weight. 2, I've never been asked to buy another seat." And he's like, "Well, he's like, I don't think it's gonna be an issue, but we moved you." And I was like, "Okay, that's fine. Like, I'm fine with sitting somewhere else, but I'm not buying another flight or another seat." And I was like, "So should I never fly Southwest again?" Because I've never been approached. I mean, we are having a conversation about my weight right now.
I think they haven't been approaching people because the policy has changed. If she can genuinely truly fit into one seat, then of course that is fine. I am curious about their policy for approaching people, because it's either you approach them in the waiting area, in like the lounge area, whatever, before they get on, so they have the opportunity to buy the seat, or you you can have some sort of privacy with that. It's just you two talking. You probably pull them over to the side, or you wait until they get on the seat, you walk over, and then you see them. But then it's like, how do you enforce the policy then? Do you have to charge them when you land? Like, I don't understand.
No, I think the second way would be way worse because, one thing is like keeping them from going, from boarding, but to get a passenger out. Can you believe it? Like, person being like, "No, no way, I'm not gonna stand up and leave. Like, I've already put my luggage in the overhead compartment and imagine the delay." So no, it's something that that's how they're going to act now. They have to do before they board.
How maybe that's why they are approaching people, because they can't charge them after the fact, and they need to know, like, hey, if you do need a second seat, you need to pay for it. But then again, it's like, well, how do you determine? Because if she's like, if you have someone if you carbon copy her exactly, let's say she fits in one seat, does she? I don't know what her whole body looks like. If you were to add, let's say, an inch on both sides of her, and then she now spills over, you can't really see that if you have both people standing next to each other. So how exactly are Southwest employees determining? Is it just like, oh, they're big, let's go talk to them? But like, what's the range for big? Do they have like a chart, kind of like the cat Big Chungus chart? I don't understand how they are doing it, and I can see why this would be problematic for someone who does actually fit in one seat. I'm not talking about the people who think they fit, the people who, they refuse to put the armrest down so their fat can spill everywhere. I'm not talking about people who do put the armrest down and it still spills everywhere, and they're like, well, look, the arm seat is down. No, I'm talking about people who fit within the guardrails of the armrest, the seat. The seat, if your appendages are not spilling past your seat into the other person's seat.
This is so funny.
How do they determine that? I think they should put a seat at the gate. Maybe they can have like a little like an enclosed area.
But then again, it's hard to do that because you have different models of airplanes. And I believe that probably the sizes of seats will change depending on the airplane you're flying. So it's not like they can have like 20. It's such a hard thing to do. And again, it's so hard to oh god, it's a complicated situation. I'm not gonna lie.
Put up some walls, put the seat there, and then have them test it there. I think that would be the most fair and objective way to do it. Maybe have everyone sit in it so it's equal.
Was it configured? Sorry, the toilet just went off. I'm in the bathroom because I'm just like, I literally left. And I think he could tell I was getting choked up. And he's like, you're a beautiful, nice woman. I'm like, I literally don't. We're having a conversation about my weight. Like, moments like this make me want to crawl under a rock and live there forever. I've already lost 100 pounds. And this is fascinating. I mean, it's
I think it's great that she has lost 100 pounds. Congratulations to her. However, I will say, even if you have lost 100 pounds and you still spill into another seat, you still need to buy the second seat.
motivation to keep going. Even after losing 100 pounds, I'm not immune to this. Shit like this still happens. Okay, so that happened on
Yeah. The world is harder for fat people. 100%. You know, things are made like usually like for the average, like height, size, whatever. But the difference is you can change that. You are like this girl in the video apparently is. So I don't know. Let's hope that gives her more motivation to keep going.
Tuesday, and now it's the weekend, Saturday. I've gone on my work trip, and I'm back already. And I recorded those videos right after I had that conversation with the supervisor at Southwest. And I was able to really sit on it and think about that whole interaction. And I feel like when I made that video, it was like my immediate raw reactions. And now having a few days passed, I'm more just like mad and appalled and disappointed, because in my personal opinion, I think discriminating against fat people is the only thing that is socially acceptable still in terms of discrimination.
I'm not sure if that is considered discrimination. If you spill into a second seat, you have to buy a second seat. I don't see how that is discrimination.
Because
I don't either. But the way they're handling it, like they are singling them out in the middle of the airport with other people around them looking. And I was thinking here, like, fat people already have a disadvantage in the work place. Imagine that for the company, it's going to be like, if they have to decide on who they should fire, it's going to be like, well, she will cost us like the double when she flies for our company if we have to buy from Southwest. Because the company will go for the most affordable. Most companies will go for the most affordable ticket, and they'll be like, well, if we have to set, like, we will have to spend more money, and that may be what can, like, that can be like the straw that breaks the camel back when it comes to deciding between her and another person to fire in the company. But I don't think it's discrimination, because by allowing you to fly, you are, because think about this, like, you want equality, right? You want to be treated equally, and of course you should want that. There's nothing wrong with that. But if the company treats you like the other passengers, they will have to treat another passenger unequally, because this passenger will be, like, his space will be reduced, like, in a case of like an emergency, like there was a plane crash in Brazil with a football team, like, a couple of, like, no, some years ago, and some, like, some that survived, literally, they checked the instructions, and they literally, like, crushed. And imagine, like, if you have someone, so I don't know, like, you might be not only putting the other passengers in discomfort, but you may also be, like, affecting their safety. So you cannot um um treat you and the other passengers equally, and your condition is not something you were born with. It's not something, it was caused by an accident. It's just because you overate. Hi everyone, Editing Nair here. I'm editing the video now, and I just want to come here and say that I know that it's impossible to have a fair and just society by treating everyone equally all of the time, because we're not 100% equal. That's why you have the, I think it was Aristotle that say, like, equals should be treated equally and unequals should be treated unequally, like, in proportion to their inequality. So of course you need to assess that, like, that's why, for example, you have social programs like food stamps, and it's only available for certain groups of people, because you are treating the unequals unequally to the proportion of their inequality. And I think we have to take that in consideration when we are thinking about a fair and just society. I just don't think that this principle itself applies here when we're talking about fairness and justice, because again, I think that, for example, for COVID vaccines, fat people had priority to get the vaccine first, because they were like at risk more than people who were not fat. That's one case, but we're talking about traveling, being in an airplane, which is in and of itself, it's a privilege. So we're not talking about rights here. We are talking about privilege. So that's why I don't think that in this situation you can apply this principle. I just want to, like come by and just, say that.
There is no scale in terms of what qualifies someone needing to buy an extra.
But it's not a scale thing. It's literally a size thing. Because it like weight distribution, like I'm 5'9". Like I don't know how tall you are, but the way that the weight, like even like another 5'9" person, we can weight the same, but the weight will distribute itself differently in our body. So it's not like a scale thing. It's literally like a visual thing. And that's why I think it's so complicated.
I mean, there is. It's you spilling into the second seat. So again, if people don't want the Southwest workers to do a visual test, and granted, let's remind ourselves, they see people all day long. They are seeing thousands and thousands and thousands of people. I feel like they do have a general idea of who can or cannot fit into the seats just based off of past experiences. If you don't want a visual
That's
test,
a good argument.
fine. They need to figure something else out that is objective, such as an airline seat, again, being in the waiting area, perhaps behind walls, and you sit down there. Have everyone sit down in it.
It's literally an employee at Southwest looking you up and down. And they said, like, you need to be able to sit in your seat, put the armrest down, and not spill over into the next seat. I can put the armrest down. I do encroach on the other person, though.
Okay, then you need to buy 2 seats.
I do.
You are literally proving their point.
But
No, there's no but. There is no but. You just admitted you can put the arm seat down, but you still encroach on the other person's seat. That is the end of the discussion. You have to buy a second seat. It is not fair to the person next to you.
After that conversation, I really started to look around to see who else was on this plane. Like, what does everyone else look like? And I was not the only large person, but I was the only person approached. And it makes me wonder.
How do you know that? You don't know if they were approached before you got to the gate. You don't know if they were approached afterwards. You don't know that.
Wonder why that is. There was an elderly man who also needed a seatbelt extender and couldn't get up to let the person in the middle sit next to him because he was handicapped. Now, do I think that he should have to pay for another ticket? Absolutely not. But if they think I need to buy an extra ticket, why doesn't he? You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing that I don't understand with this policy.
Because you chose to eat yourself to this size, ma'am. I didn't choose to be born 5'9". And I never heard of a policy for tall people.
Policy is that there's no rhyme or reason for how they single people out and how they demand to buy a ticket. And he explained the rules.
I think that there should be a very clear and objective rule for that I can get behind. Also, so that you are prepared. When you go to Southwest Airlines, maybe before you buy the ticket, they will give you the measurements. Like, if you are wider than blah, 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 you need to buy an extra seat. And then you have, like, is in their terms and conditions. It's like, it's made out to be very clear to you. And if you still choose to buy a seat or a ticket, and the person that worked, and you'll be like, I accept, like that people might, you need to accept that and take your chances.
To me, or I guess the new policy, and it literally, not to be dramatic, but feels like a witch hunt against fat people, which is so crazy because I fly Southwest.
Yeah, that is crazy. That is crazy to say.
West all the time. They're my preferred airline, and I fly often. I would say roughly about once a month, sometimes more, sometimes less. And I flew with them because I thought that they were super inclusive and it made me feel comfortable flying. And I mean,
they're being inclusive now for the people who have to sit next to people who spill over into their seats.
Going from one extreme to the other, and it just doesn't make sense to me. Besides it feeling like a money grab. Like
You know something that is really annoying for me is when people put their seats back. Because like I barely have any space for my legs. Okay? And then a person sitting in front of me will put their seats down. It really, really sucks. You know, like I like is a gymnastic to like have like, oh my God, I have to get up and all of that. It's really, really annoying. But guess what? The person bought that seat. So they are entitled to do that. I see some people saying like, oh my God, I think it's is it like, oh, it's airplane etiquette? Like, you know, no, like if a person like you bought the seat and the seat, like the person, like they can do that. Okay. It's like, in my case, like I didn't choose to be tall. I could pay more for an emergency exit seat, for example. I choose not to. So I need to deal with the consequences of that. That I will, the flight will be more uncomfortable for me. I'm sorry, baby girl, but you said so yourself. You encroach into other people's space. Like you don't want to be bothered, and yet you're not at all bothered by the fact that you immediately said that you will bother other people. You are 100% okay with that. I would never like go to the guy in front of me like, hey, please don't put your like, no, because he bought the seat. He can do that. So like you have no right to immediately say that you are going to bother another passenger and the passenger deals with that. No. Oh my God. I can't believe like you lost me.
Talking to the super.
It's a business. You can't be mad at businesses for doing things to make money. That is the whole reason why they exist, is to make money. And again, people of size were flocking to them because they were giving them free seats, which, by the way, you still can get a refund if the flight is not full.
He said that they refurbished their seats, so they're even smaller than they ever have been before. So it just feels like a money grab in terms of...
Yeah, that part, I don't agree with that part. They're already small as hell. Stop making them smaller. But still, if you don't fit in it, you still got to buy the second seat.
The part of the policy is they want people of size, is their term, people of size to purchase an extra ticket when they are checking out. So they want you to buy 2 tickets. And if the seat next to you happens to be empty, then they will refund you. But the part that I don't understand, which is like crazy, is like what he was saying is it has to be the seat next to you open. So if someone happens to want to buy a seat next to you and it's not open, they will charge you for that because technically they're saying they could have sold that seat. So even if there's an open seat in the front or in the back, but it's not the one right next to you, you still will have to pay for it and you won't be refunded.
That part I don't agree with.
Well, you know, when you fly, I forgot the name of that. If there is an accident, it's easier to identify the bodies because they will have like a map of the flight. So they know that Ira was like sitting at 39C. Like usually they will not like impose this, but usually that's why you you have an assigned, like that's what I know of, is because if there is an accident, then they can like identify by the numbers of the seats, like this person was, you get my point.
Needless to say, I will never be flying Southwest again. It was extremely embarrassing.
Yes, you are. 100% you are. If their ticket is what, $250 cheaper, you're going to be like, no, I have my morals. I'm going to pay $250 more. No, you're not. And if you can afford to pay this extra $250, and don't be out there in the internet complaining you have to buy an extra seat, period.
Felt belittled. And the thing that, like, don't get me wrong, I know I am a big person. I know it. But I don't agree with the fact that I was the only one singled out. Two, I've lost 100 pounds. You know what I mean? Like, that's the part that really stung.
Well, again, like I said, congratulations on losing 100 pounds.
I've
That's
never
great.
had this happen at my...
But if you're still encroaching in other people's space, then you still need to buy a second seat. Here are some of the comments. This is the third video about this issue I've seen in 2 days. It's only women. That is not true. We just went over a man. Also, there seems to be a disconnect when it comes to men and women. When it comes to weight, a lot of men just take it with stride and say, oh, yeah, I'm fat. And then they move on. Whereas women will post videos like this online. It's a weird phenomenon. This person says, wait, maybe Samira was right. Do not blow her head up even more than it already is. Samira is not right. She is insane. What's unacceptable?
She is entitled. She literally, she knew that about the changes in the policy. She walked up to the counter and she bothered the employee, who is basically probably the person that makes the least like money in the company. And then she went on and bought a first class seat Delta Airlines on the spot. That's all I'll say. If you can pay a first class ticket on the spot, you are literally doing what you're doing to stir up the pot, to get views, and to bother like the people that are not responsible for the decision making in that company. And that makes you a jerk. Samira is a big effing jerk. I detest this woman. Je déteste.
Is airlines making their seats ridiculously small so they can make more money. That is fair. I don't think they should be doing that. And then humiliating the very people who are making them rich. Well, the vast majority of people do not need 2 seats, so I don't agree with that part. How about tall or broad-shouldered men who have crowded me for years? I agree. They should also be purchasing a second seat if they are encroaching into...
That is a good question. And I'd like to see if they are applying the policy, like
someone else's seat. Would they treat a 6'5" muscular man the same way? They should, 100%. This is discrimination. No, it's not. Body weight is not a protected class. Again, more about the height stuff. I've beat that horse to death. I'm not going to keep saying that. This is not going to end well for Southwest. I think Southwest will be totally fine. You're a beautiful woman is insane.
People, you know what? Why people get wrong is that they think that what goes on in their internet bubble, it's what's going on in the world. But the reality is that probably like less than 1% of the people know that this is actually happening at Southwest Airlines. And at the end of the day, for most people, the cheapest is always going to be the one they're going for. You know, like that's what happens to me. That is probably what happens to you. And that's probably what happens to the vast majority of people. And let me tell you something, like the vast majority of people don't know about the dramas, about the drama with fat chicks that want to fly Southwest and are not now being asked to buy babes. That's not gonna end like unless like maybe a celebrity goes and talk about this, like then maybe for them to avoid backlash, maybe they'll change it, but I find it very hard. Like honestly, like no, like what's happening in your bubble, like probably only people in your bubble know about it.
For him to say in that moment that was weird, because you can be fat and beautiful. It's not like you have to be one or the other. Yeah, and it's mainly just about big men and how they should be approached as well. I just want to see something real quick. Okay, so I found a video of what she looks like, and this is just so we know, like the plane's perspective or the plane seat
No,
situation.
but that's not how she looks
perspective.
now.
She would absolutely encroach on someone else's seat.
Is that how she looks now?
I think it's great that she has lost 100 pounds or whatever she said, but she is definitely encroaching on someone else's seat. I think it is.
Yes, if that's how she looks, 100%. Because like you could only see her face. No, that's like she doesn't have this double chin. Wait a second. No, I think that's after. That's before she lost weight.
I think it's great that she has lost 100 pounds or whatever she said, but she is definitely encroaching on someone else's seat.
Encroaching.
I think it should be a goal for people who are larger to fit into airplane seats without, having to buy a second one. I think that's a great goal. Or having to get a seatbelt extender. That is a great goal. But yeah, the policy is fair. The way that they're going about it, probably should find a different way to do it. Again, using the airplane seat outside, I think that would be totally fair. Put it in an enclosed space. But yeah, that is all that I have for you guys today. Let me know your thoughts down below. Do you agree with the policy change? Do you think that Southwest is doing it in an appropriate manner? How do you think they are determining whether someone can fit into one seat, or if they are going to encroach into someone else's seat? Thank you so much for being here. Consider liking this video if you have not already, and subscribing if you are not already. And until next time, goodbye.
Goodbye. Well, my final thoughts, I think I've made it quite clear throughout the video, but I think that how come this video is like an hour and 21 minutes long? Oh my god. Oh god, it's gonna be so tough to edit, but I think they should 100% look for a more objective way to impose this policy. Like I said, maybe when a person is buying their ticket online, they like you should like big red letters like, if your body is like over this wide, whatever, you need to buy a second seat. And like having them like agree to that policy and saying that by agreeing with this policy, like with this whatever, you also agree with the fact that you also like if it's just same things with like with your carry-on, right? A person may check you, and then I don't know, they put a little like kind of like a changing room where a person can measure the other person, like a man measures a man and a woman measures another woman. I think that's like a more objective than by simply like looking at a person, and also gives the company like even more protection against a lawsuit, whatever, I don't know. But all in all, I don't think that's discrimination. I just think that they did a 180 because by what people are saying in the video, it's basically just Southwest that does it. So they were like, hey, come here. And now they're like, hey, get out of here, apparently. But at the end of the day, I think what people need to understand that the problems of your bubble usually stay in your bubble. So when people say, oh, this is gonna like look so bad for Southwest, well, for you it will. But even for people that are like, oh my God, so angry at them. But at the end of the day, I'd say like 99.9% of people are still going to buy Southwest because if it is the cheapest option. Because, why? I mean, I can understand, like, if you are privileged enough, like Samira is, to go to Delta and buy a first class seat, great. But if you're like the rest of us, that's probably not going to be it. I can also understand why fat people are angry because once you have access to a privilege, having that removed from you sucks big time. But it's a company, it's business. You have investors, you have, like, they don't make these decisions lightly, in a way that, and I'm not saying they're like, oh my God, it's so difficult for us to do. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is they have like quarterly reports, and probably they compared before and after they implemented this policy, how that affected their profit. And if they have decided to revoke that policy, I can guarantee you 100% it's because it was not profitable. Because if it was, I mean, it has nothing to do with fat phobia. It simply has to do with profit and money. And with that, I am saying my goodbyes to you all. Yes, this video will definitely go first because I think it's going to be easier to edit. But I have filmed earlier, like I said, a video about Jamie something that Angelica Unfiltered is covering on her channel. It was very, like, I was so nervous that I said, you know what? I need something lighter that makes me relax. So, like, Melina is always a great choice. I will sometimes listen to her old videos because I find her voice very soothing to sleep at night. Unlike mine, where it's very like, but other than that, I hope you have a great day. If today's your birthday, happy birthday. Please subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye-bye.